This is Real Talk, about real business, a podcast featuring a different guest each episode. Join me as we are given the opportunity to hear their story, the battles they face, the obstacles they've overcome, the losses they've incurred, the lessons they've learned, the memories they've made, the lives they've touched, the wins they've had, the opportunities yet to present themselves. Who am I? My name is Mason, and for the past decade, I've been grinding and hustling on a level you would understand. I've sold everything, from candy bars to big screens. I own the #1 electronics store in Las Vegas called Best Deal in Town. It has been my primary focus and my pride and joy for the last 6 years. It's given me opportunities I never would have thought of possible. It's introduced me to people I never thought I would know. I don't have all the answers. In fact, I have very, very few. But what I do have are a ton of questions. And that's my story. Join me as we talk with real people who have really done it, with real hardships and real success. Despite all the odds, despite all the naysayers, all the constant negativity, and the ever-mounting uncertainty that we are faced with every single day. This is their story on Real Talk. Yo, what is up, world? It is Mason with Business Breakdown, and we have another episode of Real Talk for you today. Today we are joined by a true entrepreneur who has seen success on all levels. He has over 20 years of senior management and technology experience. He is one of the founders of a blockchain company known as NetLeaders and is an expert in the world of media in all shapes and sizes, and still does live streams and productions daily. I'd like to introduce you my good friend, John Pretto.
Hi there, Mason. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to do this with you.
Believe me, the pleasure is all mine. I see you streaming all the time, like almost every single day with a group of awesome guys, and I pop in there from time to time. I mean, you guys have so much content, I can't absorb it all. But like I feel like when I spend 20 minutes in there, I get 10 years worth of knowledge. It's insane.
So 2021 is my 25th year in the streaming business.
Wow.
We started in 1996. Hello Network was incorporated here in Nevada. And then we raised $75 million for that company called Hello Network, and we won a bunch of awards for that, the Governor's Award and Best Internet Company, and rode the internet wave up until it crashed in 2001, 2000. It's actually September, right after 9/11.
Really?
Yeah.
So like you've been streaming since streaming was even a thing.
No, they didn't call it streaming back then. They call me the grandfather of streaming now because I've been doing it for so long.
So what were you streaming?
I did the PGA, the LPGA, the DNC convention, Kelsey Grammer, Joe Walsh, the Marine Corps, and everything.
So you were doing the production of this?
So what we did, I traveled with two big rolling rack mount cases. They were half racks, right? So they were about 4.5 feet tall. And then like PGA, I went out, we did 3 or 6 gigs with them. I did 3 personally. And I would travel with these two big cases, and it had multiple computers and it had audio gear. I would get the feed from the production company and then feed audio and video into my encoders. And then we would stream it up to our infrastructure. We had multi-million-dollar infrastructure of servers, East Coast and West Coast.
And then that's how people would watch it on the internet.
They would watch it on the internet. So the client would promote, like Kelsey Grammer went on the Tonight Show and promoted that he was doing live broadcasting from his house. Joe Walsh used to broadcast from his house using our technology.
So like what website, like broadcast.com and stuff, like where would you then distribute it to?
That's perfect. So I was side by side with broadcast.com at one of the PGA events.
Were you guys doing, are you guys similar companies in what you were doing? Or?
Yeah, I this is funny because my partner and I would go around when we first invented we invented our own technology. He used Real Audio and Real Video, which is a company out of Seattle.
Oh, I thought you meant like actual. Okay, real was real audio. That's the name of the company.
That's the name of the company.
Okay.
They were out of Seattle. Ex Microsoft guys created this company and then ended up selling it for hundreds of millions of dollars. So Mark Cuban licensed their software and started RadioNet, I think was the original name of his company. AudioNet.
AudioNet, yeah.
And then video came way later, years later, and his video was horrible. Ours was better than his back then. And at least 3 times we would go into a client and say, hey, we have this great streaming platform. They said, oh, we just signed a deal with this Mark Cuban guy. 3 times.
Really?
He did one thing very well. He's a fantastic sales guy. And he hustled his ass off and traveled the world, and he locked up content deals. He signed up a bunch of content deals around the country, a lot of like baseball, college baseball, and tertiary and markets and events. So he had this huge portfolio of content, and that's what he basically sold to Yahoo for 4.6.
Okay, so they were really buying the content. They weren't in the licensing deals and stuff. They weren't really buying the infrastructure and whatnot, right?
Yeah, exactly. They wanted that portfolio of content was king back then.
But I think they were on the losing side of that in the long run.
None of those deals sustained. They were all dead. They all died. 5 years after they paid that amount of money, all those deals were gone.
I think Mark even calls himself like the luckiest guy in the history of the internet. You know, I got to give him that. I mean, he really worked his behind off. I don't believe in luck. I think luck's because you can't measure it. I think it's a frequency of putting yourself into positions. Right?
That's right. Right place, right time.
So what got you into stream? You know, into what was it called before then?
We just called it live video.
Okay.
Live video. We had 2 products that we developed. This is an interesting story. So when I was in college, I knew that video was going to end up on computers. And I used to go around, when I graduated college in 1990, I would go around and I would tell clients, and this is when green screen was the thing. Everybody had green screens on their desk. If you were really cool, you had amber, right?
Wow. Why amber?
Because it was better on the eyes than green.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And I would say, you're going to be able to watch TV on your computer. They all laughed at me. And so my dad is a radiologist. He's passed now. And so in 1988, we got a grant from the state of Nevada to do a teleradiology system. And what that means is all of the rural clinics around Nevada, rural Nevada, can't afford to have a radiologist sitting at the clinic. Gabbs, Nevada, Elko, Ely, all these small towns. So we got a grant from the state of Nevada to put a light box, a high-end camera, and a $4,000 capture board in the computer. Back then, they were 386s. And we would capture a frame of the x-ray, and we would compress it, send it over a 28.8 modem, and then my dad could read them at 2 in the morning.
Wow. So just one frame?
One frame. And so streaming, the methodology of streaming works identically, but it's multiple frames, right? My dad always used to yell at me, can't you make this go? He had to wait like an hour for a CT scan, might be 30 images. And each one took like 12 minutes to download. So that same technology, data acquisition, data compression, data transmission, and uncompression is exactly how streaming works today. So in the early 90s, we developed a one-way streaming technology that encoded the video, and then the remote viewer got 120 by 96 resolution, no audio, and about 3 frames per second. That was 1993.
So what would you watch on there?
Interestingly enough, a lot of the adult guys licensed our technology.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So we got calls from all those guys, and a lot of them ended up using our technology back in the day. So then we got institutional investing from Wall Street, and then we continually built it. As bandwidth started to grow and people were getting ISDN lines, which were 64K, so you get triple the frame rate, right? And then as bandwidth grew, so did the streaming resolutions and bandwidth made that all happen. So we were way too early. That was the problem.
Right.
Yeah. So trying to sell streaming when predominantly everybody's using a 28 modem was a hard sell.
Especially when no one really understands it, right?
Nope, nobody totally. They still didn't think you were going to watch TV on your computer like you do today.
I would have said, why would I, like, because I remember, I feel like when I was younger, people would say, like, well, you'll be watching on your computer one day. And I was like, but why? I have a TV. And now I'm like, I hardly ever turn my TV on.
So the big thing about streaming, and people forget this today, because a lot of Mason mentioned I'm part of the Alex Lindsay's office hours. We meet every morning. We've met 420 days. We started March 25th of last year during the pandemic. We've not missed a day. We're on every morning from 6 to 9. If you want to learn about streaming or audio or video or lighting, what we're doing here, you join that group. It's totally free. You'll learn a lot.
And it's not like 2 or 3 guys talking.
No,
It's
hundreds.
Hundreds. It's an awesome panel. You guys
We
should
average
watch
in
it.
between 200 to 300 live people every day.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
The guys are doing the top streaming gigs in the world are being done by our group of guys right now.
So you got your feet wet streaming X-rays.
Yep.
And continue to build on that technology. And you were just waiting for technology to catch up to you. It sounds like.
So we were supposed to go public in March of 2001, and that's when the market crashed.
And that's the .com boom.
Otherwise,
right?
I wouldn't be here right now.
If you would have went public?
If we would have went public, I'd be on an island or in Mexico or somewhere else other than Las Vegas.
I mean, Las Vegas isn't that bad.
I'm born and raised. I love living here. My wife wants to move, but I'm not moving anywhere.
So what prevented you from going public?
The market crashed right in March.
I mean, so you guys
we missed it by weeks.
So you guys were planning on going public.
We already had investment banking. We had legal. We had everything put together. S1 document. Everything was finished. And our investment bankers was waiting for the market to kind of level out, and then it just crashed.
Like, do you get a phone call, or do you just know?
The bankers called us.
It's got to be just like the most gut-wrenching.
And then later that year, 9/11 happened. We actually had a .com that was making revenue, but after 9/11, all corporate expenditures stopped. So our paying customers stopped paying us. That killed my original company. We owned the domain Hello World. Hello World was way before YouTube, and it was for live and recorded video. It was just way, way too early.
So where do you go? Where do you go from there?
So after that, I got into. I went to work for a company here in town. This is another feather in my headdress. Is a video surveillance company. I knew the owner of the company really well. He was a friend, and we did the very first Gaming Commission approved digital video surveillance system back in like 2003.
Why does it have to be like an approved video system?
Everything in the hotel has to be approved.
Okay,
you have to have cameras over every table and every slot machine.
Oh, so they were running analog cameras, and you guys.
50% of the casinos still are running analog systems.
Is it just because it's all pre-run? It's all pre-run already, and they don't want to replace it.
Here's a good lesson to remember. Surveillance business is a non-revenue generating business. So the hotels spend the least amount of money in order to be compliant with the Gaming Commission Board.
So is that like the only reason they have them?
Yeah.
Like you think most casinos would be like, wow, we don't care about the cameras. We'd rather just not invest in it?
Probably.
Wow. Okay.
Probably. So trying to sell them digital video surveillance system was a tough sale. We pivoted. And then we called it a business intelligence system.
Ooh, okay.
Because then we integrated it with all their transactional based systems, point of sales, refrigerators, card access. Now, every time there was a drawer open on a point of sale, you would get an exception report. The manager would get an exception report with the transaction that came from the point of sale and the video clip related. And we built that.
Wow.
15 years ago.
We use something similar at the store. It's called active video surveillance, which is...
So we got this close to patent issuing on that technology. We invented it 15 years ago. And we did all of McCarran Airport.
Oh, really?
HMS Host was our largest client. We had all the cameras, every one of the restaurants in McCarran. We wired all those.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was your role there?
CTO.
CTO?
Yeah. So every time I would go meet a client, I would go to McCarran, I would go into one of our restaurants, and I would hold up the client logo, right, on the camera, and I would just sit there for like 30 seconds. Then when I got to the client, like the next day, I would retrieve and show them that footage online.
Oh, and they just probably thought that was the coolest thing.
Coolest thing ever.
Because like now I'm like, well, duh, anybody can do. You can do that. You can do that with your $99 Ring doorbell, right?
I do.
Wow.
I have Nest cameras at my house.
I'm gonna make the switch to Nest.
If I was to do it again, we use Axis, AXIS.
Okay.
They're the best because you have the problem with the Nest cameras is it's encrypted from the camera up to the cloud. And you can't access that stream. With Access, you can access the stream locally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can archive locally.
Okay, that's nice.
They have a web server built into all the cameras.
So you don't need to pay for their storage service.
Exactly.
And with my Ring cameras, you can only see one at a time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No, I can see all 9 of my cameras.
Yeah, no, I can't. Okay, so.
But the frame rate's slow.
Really?
Yeah, Access is the best. I met the founder of Access in 1995, and here in Vegas, he was here for a CES show. He developed the very first web camera and it had a web server built into it. It was about this big, and it was using motion JPEG, if that makes sense. So just shooting out JPEG after JPEG, depending on how much bandwidth you could get, determined how many frames per second you would get.
Okay.
And it would crush your LAN. Most LANs were 10 megabit back then. And one frame of a JPEG is, 50, 60, 100K. So you can do the math. It would crush your low, the 10 megs and the 100 meg network. So you had to be very, very careful about planning those out. So Martin out of Sweden developed these cameras. Now that company is a national treasure in Sweden. They have 1,500 employees.
Oh, yeah.
Their stuff's super high end, but it's the best. It's the best security cameras on the planet.
Oh, I've never heard.
They're fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a little spendy. The cameras are about $1,000 a piece.
Ooh.
And then you can build your own server, but then you can have everything archived on that local server.
That's no Ring doorbell, that's for sure.
No, it's the right way to. If I was to do it again, I would have went that route.
Martin.
Yeah.
So after you're the CTO for this company.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there?
Okay, so great question. So you're very good at getting us down the timeline. So here's what happened. My original partner in Hello Network basically took the intellectual property after the company. We claimed we went Chapter 7 in 2022, something like that. So they liquidated all the assets. He took all the good assets and started another video streaming company here in Las Vegas called VM Direct. And they had a product called Hello World, which was a multi-level marketing business. And it's still well known to today. And so as a small business like yourself, for $50 a month, you got live streaming, you got video email, you've got video storage, and you got basically a way to display all that. You got a customized page on our web servers.
Oh.
And so we actually invented video email. We filed for a patent. The original company died. If that patent would have issued, that would have been another huge win. So the video email was unique because we would encode your web camera. And we built this in the mid-90s. You capture from your web camera.
Okay.
It sends it up to our server, puts it in your video vault. We create a video template. We create a template in email with a screenshot of the video with the play button like you would see on YouTube. And that would go out to the receiver. And then when they click on the image, it took them and it started streaming the video down. So a novel, because you can't play video in a mail client. It's a security breach.
Okay.
And so we invented that methodology way back then. We had filed for like 5 or 6 different patents, and then the company went bankrupt. But that video email was a highly effective marketing tool.
I say, yeah, I don't see a lot of...
Hugely successful marketing tool because you could brand the video email.
Right.
We gave you multiple places to brand and that were clickable.
Right.
So here's my business card. Here's my company.
So, but can you send videos in an email now?
you have to jump through hoops.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to like think of a video I've ever gotten with an email. Even having a picture inlaid sometimes is like
You have to jump through. Well, even I can't believe it. We made it so easy, and it was highly effective. Here's one to this day that I still wish they would do. When I go to the garage to get my car serviced, and they're changing the brakes, and they always say the same thing: you need to change your rotors.
Sure.
Get a camera, take it out with the calipers, and measure it on my car, and let me see that I need a new caliper.
Yeah.
And send me that video email.
The transparency, yeah. They do that at Discount Tire. A guy will literally walk out there with your car with a tread measure thing. They'll say, and before you get out there, he'll say, if it's at this length, it needs to be replaced. This length's okay, you know. And like that's like if you could just drop your car off and never have to worry about it and get those clips shot to you, that'd be ideal.
We had realtors, we had all kinds of different businesses, we had entertainers. We had tons of people using our video email platform. We made it drop dead simple, and very, very professionally laid out designs, templates. We had about 300 templates that you could choose from, and then you could make your own if you wanted to and upload the graphics.
Wow.
So that was VM Direct. The product was called Hello World. That was from 2005 till about 2008. I was the COO, publicly traded, of that company.
Okay.
And I was there for 5 years or so. And then after that, I took a little time off until I got a ring from one of my developers who develops Red F5, if you've ever heard of Red F5. They build a open source streaming platform.
Okay.
He's the main developer there. He lives here in Las Vegas. In 2010, he sends me an email. He says, "Go to the site, download the software."
Okay.
Bitcoin.
That whole thing.
Bitcoin. So I downloaded the software, started running it, was mining without knowing anything about crypto or anything about what mining was. And it ran for 6 months. Never got any Bitcoin. Then I kind of put Bitcoin aside, was doing multiple different projects. People always say they're serial entrepreneurs. I'm like a parallel entrepreneur. I think you need to be working on at least 3 different projects at the same time.
I agree with that.
So multiple forms of income, multiple deals simultaneous, because you never know which one.
Diversification.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Right. So I'm working on about 3 different, all kinds of crazy stuff. I never tell you about out of 10 deals, the 8 that failed, only the 2 that were successful.
Right.
There's plenty of failures in my life, just crashed down. Stuff that you thought was going to be a hit never turned out to be a hit. And then 2014 started really taking a close look at Bitcoin. Studied it, my degree's in engineering, so I'm a
what type of engineering?
Electrical.
Okay.
I'm a wirehead. So I built my own computers. I'm super knowledgeable in electronics and computers. So the light bulb went off. And I said, we're going to take our knowledge with MLM and we're going to overlay crypto on it. We developed our own cryptocurrency called Dogecoin. And so then I traveled the world for the next 4 years doing training on crypto, on all the cryptos, on the big ones, Ethereum and Bitcoin, and taught people about the blockchain and the different tokens that we thought had value, unlike Dogecoin that really has no value.
Hey now, take it easy on my Doge, all right? Take it easy. We're going to 250.
So God bless you. So, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, Doge, when it first came out, it was developed to teach people about crypto. And they had a game. I had it on my phone, but it won't run on my new phone anymore. I had millions of Dogecoin. Millions.
Really?
Yeah, you played this game and you would give thousands of Dogecoin. You had to shoot. It was a shoot 'em up game.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so everybody thought it was a joke. There's no intrinsic value to Doge.
Right.
And Elon's pimping it out like crazy. It just amazes me. But, you can't never tell what people are going to do. If people are buying, it creates value. Just like NFTs.
Yeah, you can create the value.
You can create the value.
You can also lose it really quick.
And people always ask me, what should I buy? If I knew the answer to that, I'd be a billionaire.
Sure, absolutely, yeah, right?
Because it's all human psychology. What causes people to buy or sell? I don't know. Elon Musk going on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, and crushed it. So nobody knows what's going to happen. What's really funny over the past 10 years, since I've been playing around with Bitcoin, was every time these, guys on CNBC, usually these stock analysts, would say Bitcoin was going to crash, it always would pop up. Oh, yeah.
By the time they published it in one of their magazines or in the newspaper, it already bumped up like $100 or $500 or something. You cannot guess. Bitcoin is not like a stock. It's not like anything on the market. The blockchain is an amazing technology. It could be. I don't know why they're not using it for voting.
That's what I said. I said this.
100% should be used for voting.
Absolutely, and you could even. I feel like you could even build in some extra. I don't know, layers of lack of anonymity. So like,
yes,
because blockchain's all about being, the ability to be anonymous too, and like, keep things private. Like, you could build a technology that would. It would eliminate double voting and fraudulent voting and like.
So we have a kind of a running joke. I have a long-lasting podcast called Nerd World. It's about 12 years old.
Oh, really?
That we don't do consistently. We do it for fun, and we usually drink, booze during the show. But I've got two other super smart technology guys that have been around the business for 30, 40 years. One of them's a voice on League of Legends. He's the voice of 5 characters on League of Legends, yeah. I can't remember the names, but you'd recognize them. My son recognized them immediately. We have fun. We are going to talk about Government 2.0, which I think can be completely solved by technology. If Amazon ran DMV, how fast could you get your license?
Thank you. And so here's my best argument for this. UPS and USPS. Someone told me the other day that I don't get it because USPS is a service. And I said, no. The military is a service. UPS and FedEx do everything that USPS does, except they do it profitably.
That's right.
And you walk in and everyone's smiling. I don't know if you've been in a post office before. Shout out to my postal workers because I ship a lot of stuff and I love you, but y'all need to smile a little bit more. But like, right?
If Amazon ran the DMV, you could do everything from your laptop or your mobile phone, probably. Everything have you seen the lines at the DMV lately?
Yes, you're right. To get an appointment, it takes 4 months right now. There's no reason you can't do this online.
4 months, I know. My friend just lost her license was stolen. She had to wait 4 months to get a license.
Yeah, and then like just all your utility bills, anything can be done on smart contracts, right? Everything can be run on Ethereum as far as that goes.
ERC20, our new coin is an ERC20 coin, yeah.
Like it's the but what happens is I think the people that have the power to make that decision, when they make that decision, they're no longer in power.
When my generation of people, because I'm a outlier. I'm not like my generation. I'm an early adopter technology guy. When we die off, your generation, I think, is going to really make some great changes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
If we don't blow it up first.
Well, we'll see what happens. But I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's just they're so set in their ways that trying to get change done is impossible. I think, here's my proposition.
All right.
Part of government 2.0. The conflict I see in government right now is the Congress.
Oh, absolutely.
Eliminate all of Congress. Give everybody voting on their phone. The phone knows who you are, where you're located, everything about you. Everybody votes. No more Congress. We still keep the executive branch and judicial. And I think it should be linked to your tax returns. Right? And then like that's how you would identify. Like your social security number would be linked to your tax returns. If your tax returns are behind and everything like that, you don't get to vote. Okay. I'm getting audited by the IRS, so they're not fans of crypto.
No, so now on top of your streaming, you're a crypto guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're now tell us a little bit about that and what goes into that.
Okay, so when I studied how the crypto worked, the guy who the guys, the women, the whoever created
Satoshi?
it, that's
the group that is Satoshi?
Yeah.
Sure.
Super brilliant cryptographers.
Cyberpunks?
That generated an amazing... The blockchain overcame a lot of issues with e-money. Because e-money's been tried for 20 years. And they couldn't overcome double spending and a lot of the challenges. And distributing the ledger out was the key. And that's what the blockchain... It's a distributed database. But everybody's got a copy of the database. You know how big the blockchain is right now?
Huge?
It's about 30 gigs right now.
That's not very big.
30 gigs.
Because it's just all code.
Yeah, it's your wallet address and the amount of money. There's a few more variables, but
right.
When you watch Blockfolio or any of the Lifetime, all you see is an address and the amount going through, and they go through and they're fun to watch. Oh, there's one for 20 million. There's one for 8. The amount of transactions on Bitcoin is spectacular. And kind of our milestone next for Bitcoin is to get to the same value as gold. And somebody told me gold was about 3 trillion. Was that mark?
And what's the market cap on Bitcoin right now?
$1 trillion.
So it needs to triple effectively.
That's
right. Well, it needs to more than triple as new coins are minted, right?
Yeah.
But do you think so? One thing I heard is that once Bitcoin switches to what do they call? I think Lightning 2, the new processing platform where it can be exchanged more rapidly, because that's the problem with Bitcoin.
So
right?
Bitcoin was not designed to be transactional.
Store of value.
It was a store of value. And so that was one of the things about our coin. We actually used a different blockchain. We used graphene blockchain, which was highly transactionable. We could do about 20,000 transactions a second.
Wow.
Super, super fast. And so, they're going to have to fork and do a transactional based system for Bitcoin to be transactional. So it takes a long time for some of these transactions to complete, because you have to get a majority of people saying that this was a valid transaction before.
So when it forks, though, will they call it something different?
Probably. Yeah.
That's what Bitcoin Cash was supposed to be, right?
Well, there's been several forks of Bitcoin already. So we'll see what happens. It's interesting. And there's amazing work going on in Ethereum. And trying to keep with all the altcoins right now is impossible. My stepson actually has a better handle, because I don't pay as much attention to it now because I'm doing the virtual event stuff. But it's a full-time job.
No, it absolutely is, because the difference of 10 minutes of not getting rid of a coin can be huge in the altcoin world. Like we're talking about Dogecoin. Over the course of I think they said over the course of like 90 seconds, it dropped 10% when Elon was on SNL.
Yeah.
If something dropped 10% in the stock market, there's a circuit breaker and it kicks. Yeah. It doesn't drop past 7.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. The government, there's an art this month's Economist magazine has a big thing on the front page that says GovCoins, and they've been talking about it for a million years. The reason why Bitcoin was designed was to be a store of value that nobody controlled.
Right. That's the whole point of it, is to not
be... That's the whole point.
Right.
There's no CEO of Bitcoin. There's no company of Bitcoin. Nobody controls it. It's an open ledger. Everybody can see every transaction.
The fact that nobody holds the keys to the castle is what makes it so great, right?
Of course, 100%.
And it's so hard for people to understand that.
They have a hard time because they have old paradigms they don't understand. Yeah, it was funny for me in 2014. It took me about 30, and I'm a technology guy, so I understand how the blockchain works technically. It took me 30 days before the bulbs went off, and then we started to invest in Dogecoin and did real well. And then I travel all over the world twice doing seminars all over the place on crypto. And it's funny, in that time, several countries made it illegal, then they brought it back, then they made it illegal again. They have a hard time. A lot of those, countries that are more locked down have a real big problem with Bitcoin.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it's just if you ban it, you're just going to make it more desirable in other places. Yeah. And then guess what? There's still cash.
There's cash.
Everyone's always like, you know what you can do? It's untraceable. I'm like, so is cash. People have been selling drugs with cash for centuries.
they don't get that.
No, yeah. So, are you still involved with DOSCoin, or
not officially? No.
Okay.
I had some health issues that I worked through. I listened to your preamble on the podcast and the challenges overcoming. I had cancer 8 years ago. 8 years clean right now. So
heck yeah.
That took a lot of the wind out of my sails for several months.
I can only imagine.
About a year worth of recovery to get back on things. So then I couldn't travel well anymore. And then so I work out of my house now.
So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
So right now, this is interesting because Alex Lindsay is one of the podcasters on Mac Break Weekly, which is Leo Laporte's podcast that's been around for 15 years. So it's Leo Laporte, Renee, Andy Anako, and Alex Lindsay. They started that. Alex started that 15 years ago and gave it to Leo. Leo's the largest tech podcaster on the planet. He does all the top shows about technology, and one of their most popular shows is Mac Break Weekly. It's all about Macintoshes and iPhones and everything else, everything Apple related. Alex was, a huge Mac fan. He used to work at ILM at Star Wars. He did Princess Anala's that Chrome ship that she flew around.
Okay, yeah.
He modeled it and animated that.
Oh wow!
While he was working at the ranch, Skywalker Ranch up in Northern California. I've been following him on Twitter for years. March 24th of last year, he tweeted out, he said, I'm going to jump on Zoom tomorrow and talk about technology. And about 20 of us jumped on, and it grew and grew and grew. And we haven't missed a day since then. Come to find out, we've built this huge group of guys that are streamers, audio guys, video guys, lighting guys, set designers, developers related around to production.
Yeah, you hit every level.
I learned in 1 year, a master's course in production.
Yeah.
And stuff that I never knew about and stuff I wanted to learn about. But now I have the top guys. One of our guys has an Emmy behind him.
He has a what?
Emmy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he invented the computer-based teleprompter.
Really?
A million years ago. Yeah, he's one of our regular guys. He lives in LA.
Do it?
He's part of the Oscars, whatever that governing board is. He's one of the guys that gets to vote on Oscars and vote. He's a great guy, but he's a production guy that worked on Blade Runner.
Oh, that's
so we have other guys that are focus pullers and production guys and DPs, and all those guys are on our show. I learned amazing amount of audio chains, interfaces, cameras, lenses, all that stuff. So super, you'd pay $100,000 worth of knowledge that I've learned just by hanging out with this guys for free.
Yeah.
So about a month in, everybody's talking about, everything's closed down. We can't do our event. We're going to go online. We're going to do it online. I watched 24 virtual events be produced, and most of them were on Zoom. And it's either the CEO or the director of marketing sitting in a conference room with a white wall, no lights, no microphone.
It reminds me of like those crappily recorded college lectures that you're supposed to watch. It's like, what? No one's gonna watch that.
And the CEO says, "Let me bring up my 75-page PowerPoint and let's go through this," right? And I'm like, there's no production value on these things. And so I created Talent Pros Live, and we do Vegas-style production on these virtual events, right? And I thought more of the companies would want to do more of the talent. We have magicians and all kinds of stuff.
Singers and artists.
But they really just wanted high-level production. They wanted good audio and good video quality, good lighting. Audio is the most important thing on a podcast.
Absolutely.
If you don't have good audio, video could freeze.
Yeah.
If I can still hear you, you're communicating to me.
Right.
This is the number one thing in podcasting is microphones.
No, yeah.
And you can get a professional mic for about $330. Heil PR40.
Are you telling me that I need to upgrade my microphones?
Yeah, you told me about that. When you're ready to kick it up a notch, you'd call me up. So when we do an event, like we're doing Fortune 500 companies right now. We've done a lot of work since last year. And all my business comes from my group that I met online.
That's amazing.
All my businesses come from my group. And so we spend the most amount of time producing these events, prepping the speakers.
Oh, really?
Because they're all broadcasting from their house on their computer. And they have bad lighting. They don't have a microphone. They don't have headphones. And they're in a room like this. Usually there's a bed behind them with a dog or a cat running around. And so we spend lots of times prepping people to make them look professional. And don't ever use the virtual background on Zoom.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, even if you have a green screen, it's gonna look like hell. It's just not professional.
You know, when you say like all they want is like something like professional and like the production like value isn't there. I think about the did you see the interview that the CEO of Robinhood did, Vlad, like in his living room like 4 times, and everyone's like, you caused the like entire world to be mad at you, and he's sitting there in his living room with this like 540p camera, and all I can think about is like
540p.
This guy's got millions of dollars and he runs Robinhood, and no one could help him set up his camera correctly.
We have a lot of problems. The CEOs are usually the hardest ones to convince. They don't want to spend the money. It's just crazy. And then when we show them a professional scene with the audio and video, here's what we said. Looking good on Zoom or whatever platform you're using is the new business suit. Oh. Do you want to be the guy in shorts and a t-shirt, or do you want to be a Brioni suit guy? Because if I put our production versus the Robinhood guy
right.
side by side, the CEO is going to say, I want to look better like that guy.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. We have this happen a lot. We did I can tell you this one because we didn't have to sign a non-disclosure. We did the referees for the MLS, Major League Soccer.
Okay.
And so they have the contract for both FIFA and for MLS, their professional organization. They have both those contracts. And before the season starts, they have their big annual, we're all getting together, it's a board meeting and it's
a seminar.
Sure. And board meeting because they're a for-profit entity, right? So we did their event. We hooked up like the VP first because he was willing to do it. We sent him all the stuff out. We have a bronze, a silver, and a gold package. And even with the bronze package, which is a headphone, it's a boom mic that sits over your ears and comes to your mouth. It's $20. It sounds fantastic. And then an in-ear monitor, a Brio camera, which is $200, right? And then a couple of $150 lights from Newark. You look fantastic. And when we were doing our rehearsals, everybody saw his footage, and then everyone else went out and got the stuff. So it's how you present yourself. When you're going into a meeting and you're trying to sell something and you don't look good and you got kids running around and stuff, it's the new business suit. So you want to look, and you certainly want to sound good. I'm a huge proponent of Heil PR40 for Zoom and for podcasts. It's specifically designed for like radio and talking.
All right, I'm going to have to look into that. I'll talk to my production crew, and we'll see if we can work that in.
In web cameras, we like the Logitech Brio. It's $200.
I have seen so I've used that for one of my podcasts, and I think it's supposed to be like the knockoff version of the Brio.
Yeah, they don't look good. No, we've tried them all.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, there was no stock in any web cameras.
There's no stock of a lot of stuff.
Everything sold, as you know. I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
So I had Brios laying around because I bought them years ago. Brio camera is a 4K camera. It's spectacular. The color technology, and it's great. Then to go to Brio, to the next jump up is $600-800.
Yeah.
And then you get into where you're able to replace 35 millimeter lenses. So you're talking the Sony 6600, and then the Black Magics are about $4,000. And then you're really talking good camera equipment. Yeah. And then we use little switchers on our desk called the ATEM.
Yeah, those are sick. That's one thing I want to start getting into.
Yeah, because you could do a wide shot and have 2 other cameras for.
Now, can you switch live and it'll pick it all up?
Yep.
I would like post production or post this, I guess you wouldn't have to switch back and forth.
So the good thing about the Blackmagic product, the ATEM, I have the Extreme, which is the one that just came out. It's ISO, which means every channel is recorded singular, audio and video singular. So when you record on their pro level and above, it creates a project file for DaVinci Resolve, which is their editor. It's free, which is equivalent to Premiere or Apple Final Cut Pro. And so if you got a later machine, it's going to run well. If you go to Blackmagic Designs, download DaVinci. That's what I use to edit and color correct. It's professional level quality. The ATEM will create the project file for you. You open the file, and there's all your audio and video channels.
And it's cut the way that you like
the way you switch.
So like I was thinking so if I run an ATEM like here or here, and I put a TV above here or maybe above here that I'm looking at, I can switch in real time.
100%.
I don't need to go back and redo my cuts.
100%.
And those they're not expensive, right?
The Pro is $500.
Which I mean, I think in terms of production stuff, nothing. And
that 10 years ago was $10,000.
Real talk. The only reason I even know about an ATEM is from Office Hours.
Oh, yeah.
One of the episodes I watched, you guys were talking about it, and I was like,
50% of the guys on Office Hours have ATEMs because for production like this, it's perfect. You put it right there in your lap.
Yeah.
And mine has 8 inputs. The Pro has 4 inputs. And if you get the ISO version, it means it will record all 4 channels separately.
What is the normal? How many inputs does the normal one have? Do you know?
The which one?
That you see, because you have the Pro.
You have the ATEM Mini, which has 4 video inputs.
Okay.
It doesn't have the Pro features. And then there's the Pro, then there's the Pro ISO. And now the Extreme just came out. Extreme ISO.
I don't know if I need the Extreme. I don't even know if I need the Pro ISO.
You need the Pro. You probably would use a Pro.
Use the Pro.
The nice thing about the Pro is it has streaming built into it. So you can feed Ethernet directly into the web, and you could broadcast directly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, live.
Wow.
Which is a nice feature. So it frees up a computer.
Yeah, no.
For having to stream.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
and it's got multi-viewer preview out.
What's that?
Which shows you all your inputs on one screen simultaneously. So that you could see before you switch. I want to go to that.
Know where you're going.
Here I would put 2 other cameras in wide, right?
Yeah.
So whoever's talking, you have the tight shot of that person, and then you go back to wide.
That's
establishing shot, and then back and forth.
I think what I want to do, and you're the guy to ask about this. So while I got you here, I kind of want to do like more of like a long table format.
Yep.
Right. That I kind of want to switch this.
So in my office, remember, I buy all my gear for this guy.
Hey yo, what's up? So that's how we met, by the way.
That's how we met.
John's been buying stuff from my store forever, and we kick it all the time talking.
Arion shares.
Arion's the big one.
However you pronounce it.
Arion. That's what I say.
We were on Office Hours talking about chairs.
Oh really?
And I showed him all my Arion shares. Herman Miller Arion share is like the staple in technology business.
Yeah.
So I definitely, everything I've bought from Mason has been quality stuff. I haven't had any issues. None of the stuff I've bought a lot of screens from him. I run them in my house and in my office when I had my office open. Chairs. Super happy. I'm like always looking for a bargain, and he's right down the street from my office, and so I was super happy to wander in there. And I'm an Apple guy, so now he's got a ton of Apple stuff, and we bought a couple of laptops from me too.
Yeah, whatever you need, we got you taken care of.
I'm buying hopefully a 75-inch or an 85-inch monitor.
So tell us. So what are you doing with the 75-inch TV?
Okay, so if you watch CNN, CNN and Fox News are not news stations. They're entertainment stations. Both sides are lying.
Gonna catch some flack for that one, but yeah.
It's clear that both sides are lying. I call them entertainment channels. My wife laughs at me. If you watch somebody that's well produced and not at their house on WebEx or whatever they use, those are called insert studios. There's a couple here in Las Vegas. They have them in Convention Center. They have one over. They used to have one over in Switch. In fact, the name of the company is called Switch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but not related to...
Not that Switch.
Not that Switch. They have fiber optic lines fed into the network where all of the broadcasters can access that stuff over fiber. And it's usually one person sitting in a chair, and then they have a giant monitor behind them, and they're able to put any scene behind them. And you notice when they do an interview in the day, it's usually light. When they interview in the night, it's dark.
Right.
And it's either Washington, D.C. in the background or New York, or whatever city they're in. And so using a Stream Deck, are you hip to Stream Decks?
No.
So you haven't watched Office Hours enough.
No, obviously not.
You know Elgato?
Yes.
So Elgato makes a ton of stuff that gamers use.
Yeah.
They make a little box, and they have different sizes. They have a mini, a medium, and a large. and it has programmable buttons on it. And so using their built-in software or another product that's a web-based product called Companion, I can use that Stream Deck to switch camera feeds or bring up images or set up a macro, and all I have to do is hit that little Stream Deck box. So I'm going to program about 10 different backgrounds that I can hit, and I can switch between the different programs.
So instead of using a green screen, that's there.
Yeah.
And why would they use that opposed to a green screen?
They use that because it looks better on screen than a green screen is, because the high-end green screen takes a lot of work to get a nice flat green screen. I'm talking real high-end broadcast. You're talking $20,000 for the piece of equipment that does broadcast quality switching, but you have to have a good background.
Right. You see,
it's way more expensive than putting a 100-inch TV behind.
Sure, yeah.
If you watch closely, especially on Fox, you can see behind Sean Hannity and Tucker. Tucker last night, I'm watching his teleprompter in the back of the TV go up.
That's so weird. So are those things that you see when you watch TV and stuff?
My wife hates me.
You see, because I'm a restaurant guy, so when I go to restaurants, I'm dissecting the wait staff. I'm looking at managers and bartenders, right? So when you watch TV,
do you watch John Taffer?
Oh, of course. Who doesn't like a little John Taffer?
So John Taffer's training system is Lightspeed.
Oh, really?
I met him over there. He filmed all that stuff over here at their studio.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
When did you get Taffer on the podcast? Taffer, you're watching.
He's living here in town, man.
Everyone lives here in town.
Everybody lives in Vegas. No state income tax.
Yeah, it's the greatest.
You Californians, you get a 10% raise if you moved in Nevada.
You're all doing it wrong.
You're crazy to live in California. 10% raise to come across the state line.
Take a vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're done. And cost of living in general is just way cheaper.
It was super cheap.
I mean,
my brother's house in San Diego is 1,400 square feet. It's $920,000.
Do you know what $920,000 gets you in an overinflated hot housing market in Nevada? It's way more than that.
Oh, you can buy a great house for $900,000.
Yeah, give it a year or two, and you'll be able to buy a real nice house for $920,000. You know,
exactly right.
So,
I love Taffer, by the way. My wife and I watch it all day Sunday.
Oh, I some people are like, he's over
Did you see him redo Capos?
No.
Sunday night. This is the new season.
Oh, okay. So I haven't seen the new
It's all
stuff.
Vegas. It's all Vegas properties.
The only one I've seen in Vegas, he does Sand Dollar.
Yeah.
I've seen that one.
Yeah. This season is all Las Vegas. And so Sunday night at 10 o'clock, he redid Capos. Have you been in there? Capos was cool because you walk into the man cove, whatever that, before the outside door and the door to go in. Okay. You think because it's locked.
Oh, okay.
What you think is the door, and the guy slides open the door on the side. It usually scares the heck out of you, right? Who's calling? What do you want? Right? It's just like a speakeasy.
Right, yeah.
And they let you in the side door that you can't tell is the door, and then they let you into the property. It's super dark in there. You can't see anything. Been in there for 20 years. It's Italian joint.
No, yeah, I haven't. That's awesome.
Great place to take a date.
I'm gonna check that out.
I don't know if they have your kind of food there. You're eating keto or something.
My kind of food is all food. Nice. You know. I try to stay clean, but I got no.
I'm very proud of you, by the way, dude. I've been watching you do the crossover gym for years now.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I do lots of CrossFit stuff. Now I'm training for a triathlon and an Ironman.
So Mason posted the other day. He was out riding his bike by Lake Mead or somewhere, and there's a picture of him without a shirt. I said, "You look swollen. You should go to the doctor." When I met him, he was a little skinny guy, and now he's got some guns.
I put on a little bit of weight,
You got some guns going, your legs. You can walk on your hands.
That's the little circus trick.
What are the burpees?
The ring muscle ups.
Yeah,
that's my favorite thing to do in the world. I could do ring muscle ups forever. I love
to
do some ring muscle ups. All right, so.
So that's really kind of my whole timeline. I graduated college. I have a degree in business and a degree. Here's the one thing before I don't know how much time we have left, but
how much time you have left?
Over the years, they didn't teach me this in school. I have a degree in business, and I got halfway done with my MBA, and then was tired of being a poor, broke college student.
Sure.
Left and came back to Las Vegas. Started my own company. I knew I wanted a company because I had technology degree and I had a business degree because I knew I was going to start my own company. The one common denominator with 90% of the guys on the Forbes 400 list is they all own their own company. They're not working for somebody else.
You'll never get rich working.
Very few of those guys on that list work for somebody else. Charlie Munger.
Yeah, Charlie Munger works for Warren. I'm sure that would make both of them laugh if you said that.
Did you watch their meeting last week?
I haven't. I'm going to. Like, I love watching it, but I heard he was taking a couple shots at Vlad and the boys over at Robin Hood.
Oh yeah,
as they should.
He said it's a casino. That's what he called it.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's a casino.
Yeah.
So going to work for yourself and creating a business and creating value is really the vehicle if you want to get ahead in life financially. And it's much more rewarding, right? Because it's usually your passion.
Right.
If it's not, then go do something else. But you go to traditional MBA school and they teach you how to read a balance sheet and a cash flow and a P&L, which you need to learn if you're in business.
Right.
Your QuickBooks or whatever accounting system you're using spits out those 3 reports. So you got to understand what's going on, what your cost of goods sold is, to figure out if you're going to make money and what to focus on and what not to focus on.
Right.
Then I once I started working in business, I figured out that I have like the Pretto, golden principles of business.
Ooh, okay. I'm ready for this.
Go into a business that's digital in nature. I hate inventory, and probably you do too.
Yeah. Why, it doesn't have inventory? A podcast.
So digital in nature, informationally based, digital in nature, no inventory, and you're creating value from air. Make your business make money for you while you're sleeping. Make your business residual in nature, which means that they're paying a monthly fee every month to you. Like Switch Communication. I know Rob that is the founder of Switch. I was one of his first commercial customers.
You could tell him if he's looking for a podcast to talk on. We got a spot for Rob.
He's an interesting character, Robbie. He worked his behind off too, just like Mark did, Cuban. And so those 3 things are really kind of important. I have 6 other ones that aren't as important as those. But finding a business that's residual in nature, like some sort of website that offers value. Twit, which is Leo Laporte, who's done ad-supported podcasting for the past 15 years, is moving to a club model. So he's charging $7 for his plus customers, just like Apple Plus and all these other things. Right. So $5 to $7 a month, creating value, but having it residual in nature where they have to pay month after month, like Switch Communication. He was a developer. He was a general contractor before he started Switch. Really? And he's like having to hustle just like the preamble of your podcast says.
Absolutely.
So residuals are important because they're going to pay you forever. So that's why insurance and music business are so good, because you get residuals forever and ever. But you have to create a vehicle that makes money without your time being tied to it. That is a huge win that I learned in my early 20s. Because trading time for dollars, no matter how much money you make per hour, is never going to get you ahead. Mm-hmm. Never going to get you ahead. You have to create something that when you're on vacation or you're sleeping,
you don't have enough time. You can't get enough dollars.
That's it exactly.
I'm slowly starting to learn that. I feel like.
So we're putting together a couple. I'm not able to share yet, but we're putting together a couple of things to create a new website that's meets all those requirements. And I like to identify companies. I'm a consultant on another great. I'll tell you about it after. That follows those same principles. But if you're looking to get into a business, those 3 things are important.
I would agree with all those.
Yeah.
What would you say, like personality trait wise, is like one of the biggest things to?
You're a lot like me. We're tenacious, and once we get our teeth in something, we don't let go. There's a great story. I don't know where the story comes from. There's a young kid that keeps, going to this old successful guy and keeps knocking on his door. Teach me, teach me, teach me, teach me. And then finally the old guy says, meet me at the beach at 5 a.m, right? So they walk out into the water and he grabs the young guy and he puts him underneath the water just to make it hurt a little bit, and then pulls him back. And he says, when your business is as important as you as breathing, then you'll be successful. If you're not tenacious at your business, it's not going to succeed. You know, I don't have to tell you.
No, yeah, absolutely. You have to be passionate about it even when it's not passionate about you, right?
If you're passionate about it, it's not work.
Right.
When I'm doing podcasting stuff like because what mics are we using, what interfaces are we using,
right.
what can't, to me, that's really, really exciting. That's not work. And now that I'm able to do it from my house, let me tell you about the macro theme in production. When you walked into like a Tony Robbins event or any of these events, they've got $1 million worth of equipment in the back of the room, audio and video, projectors, all these mixers, stacks of gear. All that stuff is moving up to the cloud. Just like all the platforms moved up to the cloud. Long time ago. You don't have web servers in your office anymore.
Nope.
Right? They all run on Amazon Web Services.
Right.
And so same things happening in the video and the audio world. All those big switchers and all those big mixers are becoming software in the cloud. And then anybody can control those remotely on the web. Huge paradigm.
It's insane.
That's a huge paradigm shift. And it's happening right now as we speak. The Tony Robbins event, 100 Zoom rooms running in AWS to pull that event off. And it was controlled remotely.
That's just I know how difficult it is to run like one room with one guest. Like I can't even imagine like the amount of coordination and like the level of skills that you guys have to do stuff like that.
It's a whole profession. But the nice thing about it is now I can produce a whole entire show from my house. My group of guys spread out. My top guy lives in Czechoslovakia, Prague, and he's got 1 gig up and down.
Wow.
$50 a month.
What?
In Prague, he pays.
I need to get some of that.
And we've produced Fortune 100 level events from his house out of Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, I can imagine. Holy cow.
And they continue to hire us.
So what would you say, so moving forward, like what are your goals with your current company and like what you're trying to do?
So my production company does not follow the Pretto principles of 3.
What?
It's trading time for dollars. Though for me, it's more of a hobby and a passion than it is work.
Okay.
I think I already have a company that wants to acquire my little portfolio of guys and little book of business that we built in a year. And so I think we're going to merge with another production company that's bigger than us. And then they can run that. I've got 2 other web properties that follow the principles.
Well, say, I mean, and you said you're a parallelpreneur.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, that's what you do.
At least 3 projects. I like to be juggling 3 simultaneous, and then one of them will pull ahead, and then I'll focus on that one more enough to get it rolling. But getting a successful business. Tell me, you've lived through this, I'm sure. Starting a business is like a jet taking off. It's full throttle until you get to cruising altitude. Then you can back off on the throttle a little bit.
I have trouble determining where my cruise altitude is, right? Right. It's like, I feel like, does that make sense to you? Like, are we at the top? Are we where we need to be? I don't know.
So listen to this story. You'll like this. How long have you been in Las Vegas?
Going on 6 years.
Okay. So when I was, 18 to about 20, close to 30, late 20s, there was a store in Las Vegas called Union Premiums. Have you heard about this? Union Premiums was started by a guy that was a dealer at one of the hotels, and he opened up a electronics store in about the same size as your office.
Okay.
But he sold stereo equipment and sold microwaves, and he sold appliances.
Okay.
And was a huge success because his prices were as cheap as yours. People didn't realize. He promoted a little more than you did, I think. You use guerrilla tactics for your business, which are really smart.
Sure.
Right? So he went from that little teeny office into a 100,000 square foot place that was right next to the library on Flamingo, and killed it for about 10 years there at that location. And it was like a mini Best Buy. Before the big box electronic stores were there,
right.
Union Premiums, locally run and operated. and he killed it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard of that guy.
Union premiums. But he sold everything.
Appliances and whatnot?
Everything. Everything that you'd see in Best Buy is what they sold. And I don't know where they were getting their gear, but they were cheaper than anywhere else you could buy them. There was no internet back then, too.
Then you can't price check.
Can't price check.
So where is that going to lead you? Where do you see John Pretto at? You know, and because you've accomplished so much. Like, what else do you want to accomplish?
These two other deals are my short term. I have a bucket list. I have travel checked off my bucket list.
I've seen a bunch of pictures of you traveling. Like, I
went everywhere. You know what? There's no better place in the world than the United States. There just isn't.
I love that. Okay.
From Florida to California to New York City, there's nothing like the United States when you combine everything together, and our government and freedom, et cetera, et cetera. You can't beat it anywhere in the world that I have been. And so I did skydiving on my 50th birthday.
Oh, okay.
Have you done that?
I have not.
The most amazing thing I've ever.
Will you do it again?
Oh, 2 seconds.
Okay, that's cool.
2 seconds. The place out at Gene.
Okay.
My buddy made me go for my birthday, and I almost chickened out at the last minute, and I did it. And it was. They don't tell you this. When you jump off the airplane, there's only about 2 seconds where you get that feeling of your stomach dropping. Then your body causes equilibrium. Then it's cool. You're flying through the air. I've been on roller coasters worse than skydiving.
Oh, okay.
Because you're going like this.
Right.
You're getting that over and over. When you jump out of a plane, there's 2 seconds of that, and then it goes away.
All right. So
and then the ride down is spectacular.
So skydiving? What else is on this list?
I got those 2 lists. Those are checked off. One of my projects is philanthropic, and so we're giving a lot back and trying to change the world through kind of being totally objective, kind of the opposite of what you see in the world today.
Okay.
Because we think there's a lot of good that can be done, and that takes up a little bit of my time. And then after that, it's hanging out with my family.
Cool. So
I enjoy hanging out with my family.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you've created a life that doesn't require you to focus on dollars, and you get to leverage that into your time now.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah. And when I was younger, this is funny because my stepson now is 33, and he chases the almighty dollar, and he keeps posting on his page Lamborghinis and all that stuff. And I did the same when I was that age.
Right.
I just say, I'd rather have a trust fund. Every Saturday morning, they have coffee and cars down the street, and they have all these old muscle cars. I can't tell you how negative I am on muscle cars.
Really?
Because when my generation dies, you guys could give a lick about muscle cars. I think the market's going to drop like crazy.
I think there's a lot of things like that.
So I'm walking around with all my old timer buddies, and they're wowing and wooing over this. I want to go to a trust fund show. Look, this one pays 10%. This one pays. That'd be much more exciting for me. So I don't spend money on depreciating assets anymore.
Ooh, I like that.
I had to learn that. I wasn't like that in my 30s.
What's your biggest money suck? Like, what do you spend money on that you're like, I shouldn't do it, but I do it, and that's my thing?
My house.
Like home improvement kind of stuff?
My house is the top of the market for my neighborhood.
You don't spare no expense at the house, huh?
And I wisely,
Christmas lights.
I can't put. Have you not seen my house for Christmas?
I have. As I said, you go all out, don't you?
Oh yeah. No, yeah. I do projection mapping.
Yeah.
2 big projectors. My house is like a movie screen. It's fantastic.
I would expect nothing less.
And Halloween. I have singing pumpkins and zombies and all projection mapping.
So your house, if
brand new top of the line kitchen, my garage is all decked out. I have slat wall.
Oh, yep.
All in my garage, all black.
You got some slat wall in there. Yeah.
Black and red, all decked out, aluminum edging, and then high-end cabinets. And you could go crazy at your house, but you can't unless you're throwing money in the garbage. Right now, because of the real estate market, I'm about break even.
Hey, but I mean, like, if that's your thing, that's your thing, right?
So it's not horrible, but cars and fancy watches.
There you go. So you are a car guy?
I'm a huge car guy.
I'm not a car guy.
I'm a huge car guy.
What's your car of choice? Like, if you got a dream car?
My old Mercedes that I just gave back on lease because they're a write-off on business. So my accountant said, give the money to the government or go get a new car.
That's pretty noble.
I got a top of the line Mercedes S-Class. That's what I drove for 3 years.
Wow.
That's the best car I ever owned.
Really?
Yeah.
And you buy, and like if you had your option to buy any daily driver outside of like obviously not a Lambo or something, but like if you had like a daily driver, that's what you get.
Nothing comes close.
Nice.
Super reliable, super comfortable. Just a great car.
Sick.
And my wife's driving a Porsche Cayenne.
Oh, that's like the SUV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've loaded a couple TVs in there. Those are sick cars.
It's a nice car. Yeah.
All right. So.
Here's
Uh-oh.
one interesting fact before we call it a day.
Okay.
I go out and I've given speeches. The biggest one I did was the O2 Arena in London. We had 6,000 people there.
Oh wow!
It was in crypto. I was teaching about crypto. And when I always finish, usually on my PowerPoint slides, I usually don't say it out loud. I'm a foosball professional. I won the U.S. Open in 1990.
Yeah, I've seen you post about this.
And I still play. One of the world champions lives here in Las Vegas. We still play actively. So I can beat all of you guys in foosball.
So if anyone doesn't know what foosball is, it's
table soccer.
Table soccer. It's like that ball that's rolling around and you're spinning the sticks and you're trying to knock it in.
You can't spin the sticks.
What?
It's illegal.
Oh, excuse me. And no stick spinning, folks.
They have one of the tour events here in Las Vegas every year. It's at the downtown at the Gold Nugget.
I didn't even know there was a foosball tour.
There's a foosball tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a world champion foosball player.
I didn't win the world championships. I won the U.S. Open.
Okay.
In my division, I won the U.S. Open.
Okay.
At that time, so I'm a professional foosball player.
Heck yeah.
And then also my rocket. I built the very first I did the very first live broadcast from an amateur rocket that I built, which was 10-inch diameter, 14 and a half feet tall rocket. Blasted off in 2001 March on St. Patty's Day.
Really?
Yeah.
And you had a camera in there?
Yep.
So did it like go into space?
No. It was too heavy. It only went up a couple thousand feet, but it was a live broadcast. So we built the antenna. We broadcast down from the rocket using ham radio technology down to an antenna and then a receiver, and then fed that into our streaming technology back then and streamed it on the web. And that the what's his name that used to talk about UFOs from 10 at night till 6 in the morning.
The TV show?
No, radio.
Oh,
I'm trying to remember his name. It just flew right out of my head. It was super popular. He used to have the #1 show at nighttime.
Orson Welles?
No. He used to live in Peru.
Oh, I have no idea.
And he used to broadcast from Peru.
Oh, really?
And he had a huge following. Millions of people had me on his show, and I talked about the rocket. And I had 4,000 people watching that stream. More than Joe Walsh, more than Kelsey Grammer ever got. To get 4,000 people watching your live stream
And that's in 2001, right?
2001.
Yeah, I mean it
was huge.
That's a sellout.
It was
huge.
A
blockbuster.
Huge.
Well, that's awesome. Those are two crazy things.
So those two things, when I talk about that, people run up to me and they want to talk about foosball or rockets. They don't care about crypto or anything.
You're hitting both ends of the spectrum there, huh?
I started playing foosball when I was 10 years old, and then played and just had a knack for it. And then we grew up here in Las Vegas, so when I was 5 years old, my dad used to take us out to the desert right behind Votech was. That was all desert. We used to shoot little rockets off during the 60s when NASA was big. Guess what? Now, because of Elon Musk, we had about 200 people. We had people from UNLV and little kids flying rockets. We haven't seen that in decades.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I mean, that was a whole, like, my generation didn't really, as kids, we never saw anything like that. Yeah. That's incredible.
So hobby rocket, there's a high level, they're high powered rockets. And my motor for my rocket was 4-inch diameter and about that long. That was the motor. And it was about $800 just for that motor, for that one launch.
You say motor, that's the actual rocket that's like...
It's ammonium perchlorate, which is the same stuff they use on the SRBs on the space shuttle.
Right.
The two outboard rockets were SRBs. They used to make that here in Las Vegas until the plant blew up.
Oh.
You weren't here for that.
No.
It was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's not good.
It was equivalent to like a 4.0 Richter scale.
Did you see that Chinese chemical plant that blew up?
I did.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I did.
That's incredible. Well, I didn't know that.
So that's a good...
So can you watch that on YouTube or something?
Yeah. If you search for high-powered rocketry, you'll find tons of high-powered rockets. Some guys 50, 60-foot hobby rockets.
Oh, wow.
So I was part of a team that did a 1/3 V2, and it was 30 foot tall. And it was gigantic. It was like a 4-foot diameter on the thing. It was super heavy. It was 1,100 pounds.
Wow.
We shot that off like 15 years ago out in California.
And you broadcast it? That's different. That's a bigger one.
That was bigger than mine.
Did you broadcast that?
No, that wasn't broadcast because to get live internet down to where I shot mine was in Boulder City. We did a 10-mile Wi-Fi link from the top of my dad's roof down to the dry lake in order to get live bandwidth.
I don't even know how you do it. I don't even know how you do that.
Ubiquity modems side on each side. They're fantastic.
Dude, I can barely get Wi-Fi. I can barely get music to stream in my garage. Oh, my smokes. All right, so one thing I like to do with all my guests is do this thing called Real Talk Rapid Fire.
Great.
I'm going to ask you a handful of questions.
Yep.
They're either ors. Really like cats or dogs kind of thing. Right?
Is it true or false, or is it an explanation on each one?
If you want to throw us a little quick little explanation,
Okay.
Some people do. It just so let's start with this. We'll make it real easy for you. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Triangle or square pizza?
I like square better.
Hell yeah. The first car you ever owned?
VW.
What kind of like a Bug?
It was a Baja Bug.
What's the first job you ever had?
I worked at Terrible Herbst on Tropicana.
Can you say that again?
Terrible Herbst gas station.
Okay, I had a friend.
Gas was 49 cents a gallon.
And it's some places over 5 right now. I had a friend in town and I was like, I kept calling it Terrible Herbst, and he's like, it's not Terrible Herbst, it's just terrible. I'm like, I think it used to be.
I went to school with the Herbst. I know the family.
I'm gonna clip this out and send it to him. Are aliens real?
Yes. They're just not here on Earth.
Oh, because that's my second question. Does it use you don't think that they're here?
I don't think they're here.
Why is that?
Because the closest place life is, it would take them multiple light years to get to Earth, and it violates physics laws to travel that far.
Even quantum physics laws?
Yeah, well, quantum physics doesn't have. Unless they figured out how to fold space, then they could get here faster. I don't think they've been to Earth yet.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that. What's your favorite city in America?
I have several. New York City for a week, San Diego to chill,
Okay.
and I like Miami, and I like Florida a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, America's that good, so I'll let you have as many American cities.
Yeah.
Logan Paul or Jake Paul?
The guy that just fought, Jake Paul?
Well, Jake is the older one. Or Logan is the older one who's fighting Mayweather, and Jake is the younger one who's been fighting a little more often.
I like him because he's friends with one of the other podcaster, Inside Family guy, the guy that lives in Utah.
Oh, okay.
They're friends.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're going with the younger one.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Jake. Cool.
Yeah, Jake.
All right.
He just fought and knocked the MMA guy out.
Yep. Last question. Will you come back in 100 episodes?
Absolutely, 100%.
Heck yeah.
Had fun.
Well, tell everyone if they want to get a hold of you for any of your streaming services that you offer, or just I know you have a website and whatnot. Give the spiel.
My email is my name, which the domain is 25 years old. It's Pretto.com, my last name, Pretto. Email John, John, at Pretto.com, 25 years old domain. I've made a lot of money on domains.
Heck yeah. I bet.
I registered domains when they were free. One of the things I tell people, I out on the internet when you could finish it in a week.
Say that again?
I started on the internet when you could finish the internet in a week.
Oh, wow.
There was only about 10,000 total hosts on the internet.
Right, yeah. Oh, wow.
And most of them you couldn't get on because they were military.
Yeah, that's amazing. So any requests they have for you in terms of any of your production stuff that you may have to do, or they can always catch you on office hours. You guys broadcast.
I'm on office hours every day, and if you want to really reach out, just shoot me an email.
Cool, and I'll make sure we'll put links to everything down below.
Great.
And everything like that. So, John, thank you for coming by today. I've been trying to get you on here for weeks.
I told my son, yeah.
I'm glad I could finally drag you over here. So we'll see you again in 100 episodes, huh?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
guys.
Mason.